Buckle up for the Money Vehicle Movement podcast. I'm Jedidiah Collins, your host and driving instructor on this journey through speaking the language of money. Twists, turns, and avoiding those money potholes, we'll cover it all on our road trip to financial freedom. Engines ready? Then let's drive. Keith Smith, making fullbacks great again. Could not be more excited to have you in talking to our students today. As a decade-long fullback, I like to call us the baddest mamba jambas on the field. Brother, how's it feeling? How's it work? How's the offseason starting?
It's been a blessing, man. You know, it's always a blessing just to be healthy at this point in my career, and you know, I never take that for granted. And just being able to still be in the locker room and around the fellas and whatnot, and just have the opportunity to kind of mentor the young guys in the locker room and everything is just something that I look forward to every day. So it's been cool. It's been a grind. It definitely hasn't been all glitz and glamour, you know. But that fullback life it's gritty. You know what I'm saying? And that's, you gotta be if you want to be successful at it. So it's been cool, man. It's been a blessing. Just getting into the off season, so trying to transition into putting on my other hats a little more than usual. My dad, my fatherhood hat, my business hat. Just trying to make sure that the train is still rolling. But it's nice to kind of relax a little bit.
Take a quick breather and get ready again. And man, like you said, you've become one of the old cats, the graybeards, and a mentor in the locker room. But looking at your career, man, you were a great college linebacker. You've shifted kind of mindset. You shifted positions. I think that is such a neat skill of being adaptable and changing. One, can you just walk us through how that opportunity came about and what you had to do? Because a lot of students today are looking at a career and they say, if I go down this path, maybe I won't be able to pivot. There is always a pivot. Can you just talk a little bit about how you shifted positions and what you had to do mentally to be able to do that?
Yeah, it was actually pretty crazy. Just transition period. Started back in Dallas. I signed undrafted free agent as an undrafted free agent linebacker with Dallas back in 2014, and played linebacker for 2 years there. But I was kind of a bubble guy, and I was on and off the active roster. Fortunately for me, I stayed in the building because a lot of people don't understand what goes into the transition of moving to a whole nother state and just trying to keep it flowing like usual with all that going on at the same time. But after my second year, me serving my time on every practice squad, every position on scout offense, my coaches kind of seen the opportunity there just to get me on the roster because I was a good special teams player and they wanted to utilize that, as well as just me being a good football player. They thought that I would be capable of making the switch to fullback, and it started with Coach Gary Brown, rest in peace. He was the running back coach, my running back coach in Dallas. Passed away a couple years back from cancer, but he approached me at practice one day while I was on Scout-O at the end of my second year and was like, how do you feel about the running back room? You think you can handle the running back room? And I was just like kind of shrugged it off and kind of laughed, you know.
This is different. Room to room
but
is
he
different.
wasn't laughing. Right. But he wasn't laughing. You know what I'm saying? So like that's why I was like, wait, seriously? Like, so, and he was like, yeah, I'm dead serious. And sure enough, comes that following spring, I had the conversation with Coach Jason Garrett, our head coach at the time. Um, and he was like, "This OTAs, we're gonna just put you strictly in the running back room, like, and see how you go." And I was just like,
Yeah.
"All right," you know what I'm saying? Like, I really didn't have many options, and I felt like it was kind of just my last opportunity to actually stick. And I wasn't the favorite at the time. We had a big running back, Rod Smith, who they were trying to transition to fullback as well. And just fortunately for me, the sequence of events throughout OTAs and training camp, Rod went down, and I inherited all of his reps, and just gave me an opportunity to show how versatile I was. And being a linebacker, I'm I'm used to hitting, you know what I'm saying, and I
Yeah.
liked it, you know what I'm saying. So it was just it was my way of keeping that linebacker spirit alive. Was like, okay, now I'm still trying to smack people. It's just not a
Yeah.
running back. It's a linebacker. So it was kind of ironic and kind of fun, sickly fun, hitting my
Yeah, bro.
former boys that I was in
Uh-huh.
meetings with every day. But it was cool because you gain a respect for them, right? And it almost brought us closer, and just our relationship was stronger from it, just competing every day and whatnot, and making each other better. But throughout training camp, went through training camp and everything, and ended up winning the starting job. And then that year, my first year at fullback was Dak and Zeke's
Mm,
rookie year. So we ended up having a heck of a year, and thankfully Zeke balled out.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it was kind of easy behind that
Yeah.
line. You know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't have to worry about guys falling off their blocks as much. So it made my job a lot easier in that aspect. But it was a real fun year, and just a nice little christening to the fullback position. But I will say the mental transition was the toughest. Just like you said, being able to pivot, because I had to fight my ego as
Mhm.
well. You know, like, I felt like I was the best linebacker
Yep.
in the building, and I felt slanted, like they weren't respecting my talents and whatnot. And I had to humble myself, and just I prayed on it and accepted it for what it was. And God kind of just told me, like, this is your opportunity. And um, I took it and I ran with it, and it by far was the best decision that I made in my career. Obviously, now being 10 years in, like, it worked out pretty well in my favor. But it was a continual learning process. I think, just like in any profession, anything you're doing, whether it's watching my baby, my daughter learn how to swing a bat, she's not gonna like it at first because she's
Mhm.
not good at it, right? But as she gets better and starts getting good at it, then it becomes more enjoyable. And then and that's how good habits start. You know, it's just by repetition and practice. And I think I just applied that full throttle to that transition, and it just really worked out for me in my favor. At the end of the day, ended up getting the starting job,
Mhm.
like I said. And um, I think the lesson in it as well for myself was just it built it built a very strong confidence in myself, being able to transition and do something that I wasn't used to doing. You know what I'm saying? I had to switch my mind frame, and just feed my brain good thoughts during this transition, because it can be discouraging when you aren't used to doing something that you don't usually do. So it was pretty special from that aspect, but definitely not the
No.
easiest transition. But like I said, it worked
Hey,
out. So
awesome ain't easy. That's a quote I love from a Cougar legend, Steve Gleason. And brother, what you just went through, that transition, that mindset, that's what every student really needs to understand and hear. It wasn't your first option. It humbled you, it checked your ego. You had to stay curious and you had to go and learn. And it was never easy and it never got easier. And as you look at a decade later, yes, it was the right decision, but it was that next man up, right opportunity, and you took it and ran. And that is something that, as we talk to students today, looking at their income and looking at careers they want to go down, so many of them have that gut check of like, oh, I'm a better linebacker. Why don't you see me as a linebacker? At a company, at a business, it's where you can add value today, right now. And you heard a coach say, you can
Right.
add value in this room. Come on and bring it in. So I love
Yeah.
starting with that. And yes, that transition to fullback, being a selfless player, is something you embody. You are making fullbacks great again. And
I
as you do
appreciate
look at that seasoned veteran mindset, let's go back to, your first couple years bouncing on practice squads, trying to make it. How much of money did you understand? How financially literate would you say you were? I like it that you're already shaking your head. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because I was probably just as financial literate as a
Yep.
newborn baby. Like it literally it's just a different. It was kind of my first. It was really my first at bat on my own, essentially. Like in college, yes, I was on my own a little bit, but the NFL is corporate
Hmm.
America. Like you're in the real world now. You know what I'm saying? Like this is a business, and so I had to approach it that way. And obviously, you learn the hard way sometimes. But I will say that being at a small school on scholarship in a big market like I went to San Jose State. Our campus is in downtown San Jose, which is one of the most expensive real estate markets
Yeah.
in the world, in not only just the country, but just the Bay Area itself is very expensive cost of living. And so like you almost have a start a crash course there, just trying to manage and maintain life on a scholarship check that barely covers rent. You know what I'm saying? And you're, like I said, a small school, so you're not getting money from any other avenues, and you just got to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? And maintain your diet, your sleep, everything. And it was kind of a blessing in disguise, because it taught me how to kind of be frugal and really just hold on to my monies and save it for a rainy day, and just be real strategic in what I was buying and what I could and what I couldn't buy. So um I think that helped a lot going into that, but it definitely has been a learning process that I had to seek out information, whether it was just from my peers, talking to the older guys in the locker room, and or just doing my own due diligence. Nowadays, I think kids are spoiled because you have all these resources at your disposal through the internet, and you can literally find whatever you want. Any information that you want to find, you can find it on the internet, and it's just a click away. So if you're not lazy and you just apply yourself a little bit, you can figure something out. And I think that helped a lot. Reading, especially reading, was a big key for me. I'm sure you've heard it plenty from people, but the Rich
Hmm.
Dad Poor Dad, just the mindset, and just understanding the different quadrants and all that. It really just gets you a kickstart in thinking bigger than just living check to check. And so I think that book kind of strategically put me on a direction to um, think bigger than just saving all my monies. And but it definitely was a crash course. To answer your question, it's night and day from where
Yeah.
I started. So
And I love that we kick off in Money Vehicle talking a little bit about that rich dad poor dad assets and liabilities concept, because it was the beginning of my journey as well. And what we're trying to do, and you touch on it, is get students to think bigger, think like that investor
right.
mindset. So we go from spender to saver to that investor. And so as you look at it, you've begun to, yes, you make a great earned income. You go out on the field, you represent the jersey and your name, and you get paid well. But you've gone beyond that. And can you just start to explain a little bit of how you saw differently the money you went and earned on the field compared to money you could go create off of the field?
Yeah, I think that's a big philosophy, and it's just crucial to financial literacy. Period. Just because, in my opinion, earned income is finite. You know what I'm saying? Like you only can do so much to earn money by whatever it is that you do in work, where you call it a job. Like there's only so much that there's only so many years that I can play in the
Mm-hmm.
NFL before my body deteriorates and before I hit exhaustion, for time, energy, and thought goes into earned income. You know what I'm saying? And I think created income just you think generational wealth. There's really no exhaustion point to it because it's working on
Mm-hmm.
its own. And I think when I think that, you think real estate, assets that are just continually pumping out money for you on almost on a carousel. But I mean, obviously, it's very much more
Yep.
intricate than that because you gotta have management and everything that goes into it. But when you're building out systems for yourself that work when you're asleep and you don't have any more time or you don't have any more energy, I think that just it brings in the topic of generational wealth and something that you can continue expanding your net worth and building on the money that you have because it's working for yourself. But obviously, I spoke on real estate, and because that's been my biggest aha moment that I've come to in terms of created income, because just learning that field of assets is it's been fun. You know what I'm saying? Like there's so many ways to make money in real estate that you can. Sometimes it can get
Give us
overwhelming
one.
to
Yeah.
like.
Give us where you started in real estate.
Yeah, so I started out just doing little fixings, flips here and there, out here in Georgia. I actually share my biggest lesson. It was a
Yeah.
bad lesson, really. So um, this was probably my second or third year in the league. I started uh, I started accumulating some cash that I was able to deploy and that I felt comfortable enough to deploy into investing. And um, one of my best friends is a real estate agent, and he was actually a new real estate agent at the time, and he was just throwing around the idea like, yeah, let's do a fix and flip and blah blah, and just me being naive and um, uneducated, I was like, you hear real estate, everybody hears real estate, and it's like
Yeah.
it makes sense.
Yeah.
That's
Easy.
the
It's
answer. You
easy.
know what I'm saying? So I'm like,
Yeah.
let's do it. Let's do it. You know what I'm saying? Didn't know anything that what I was getting myself into. Like, didn't know any red flags. Didn't know any green flags. Just didn't know how to mitigate any risks in within that investment. And I just kind of let somebody else handle it instead of myself, and
Mm-hmm.
educating myself, and and knowing exactly where this money was going, how it was being spent, how it was growing, et cetera, et cetera. And um, we ended up running into pretty much every pitfall that you can run into in the fix and flip industry in California. We did a fix and flip in Pasadena, and long story short, we went through bankruptcy court with the manager who was running the flip. He bankrupted his
Wow.
LLC to get himself out of the deal, and basically left me and a private money lender um, with the asset, and I ended up losing upwards of about 200,000
Wow.
plus. And
This is the
this
beginning.
was my
Yeah.
first this was the beginning, and thankfully this was a long process. So it took about 4 to 5 years to get to that. So I was accumulating wealth as I was
Yeah.
going and learning as I was going. But um, I learned so much from these adverse lessons that it was like I know what to expect. Not only what you can run into in the fix and flip world, but just now I won't go into something without being educated on it and understanding what I'm getting into, or having somebody who's much more educated on it than me helping me with it, so I could see it black and white and understand it. And so that was kind of my first intro to real estate. And then um, I started doing fix and flips out here in Georgia with a business partner, and that went pretty well just because of the the uh, the cost of living out here is
Different.
much less
Yep.
than California. You know what I'm saying? So like, there's bigger profit margins, etc. But then just I met my mentor in the commercial real estate world, and she introduced me to a triple net lease. And a triple net lease is basically it's a real estate lease that all the expenses fall on the tenant versus the landlord. So when people talk passive income, that is the most passive real estate investment that you can get into from a landlord like raw ownership
Yep.
perspective, because it's mailbox money essentially. You really don't have much responsibility as a landlord outside of usually the roof or the outside structure of the four walls. So once I started to understand that, then I was like, oh yeah, I'm definitely in the wrong area. Like this is where I need to be at, because from a risk perspective, the risk can be mitigated
Yeah.
so much more. So um, now this is 5 years later. Like, I'm way more well versed in triple net lease
Yeah.
and commercial assets than I am in residential. But I ended up getting my real estate license in Georgia to eventually help with um, our commercial real estate endeavors on that side. So it's just been a whirlwind, but there's so much opportunity and potential in real estate, because there are a lot of avenues
Hmm.
that you can go, whether it's fix and flips or just buying properties to rent them out. And all there's so many different ways. Like, I can go we
Yeah.
can go
Yeah.
forever on this,
But
but to that point, all of this exists on the
yep.
internet. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can look up these different strategies. There's uh what's the is it the perfect
Oh,
pockets?
bigger
I
pockets.
forget
Bigger
the real
pockets.
estate. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of info there on, especially on the
Yep.
residential side. And then like there's just a lot of different platforms out there that you can learn so much about and get
Yeah.
started on your own. And a lot of times you don't even have to start with money. There's ways to get into real estate without
Yep.
putting up bread
And
up
that's
front.
what
So
I
there,
love about that story is it's oddly similar to your football career. You went down, you got humbled, you learned, you continued to invest in not only yourself but your education, and you figured out where you want to be and how you can maximize it. Triple net commercial, that is step and layer 7 of a journey that you went on.
right,
And as a student listens to it, that's where you can go, but you begin with the education, like you were saying, and looking at how am I going to find an avenue to make money go to work for me. Real estate has a lot of opportunities. I think the Bigger Pockets podcasts and books are excellent to learn and listen, but it is that concept that you said, I'm making a good earned income, my first and primary, but I want another leg to stand on. And you haven't even stopped there. I would love for you, because we talk to a lot of students who want to build their own brand and be able to put, an identity behind themselves. Make fullbacks great again. It's an identity that you've taken, you've owned, you're building a community around it. Just explain, I mean, in this land of NIL, name, image, and likeness, why you've associated Keith Smith with make fullbacks great again. What is that brand building atmosphere for you as another avenue to create an income source?
I think it really started out just to pay homage to those before me, to the
Respect.
Jay
Get out of here.
Collinses, to the Mike Allstotts and the Zach Crockett's,
Yep.
all the guys who kind of just came before me, who weren't as recognized, you know what I'm saying, and just kind of paved the way to where we are today. I mean, a lot of people say the last of a dying
We've
breed,
been
and
dying for a decade.
just yeah, it's if you look at the last 10, 20 years, yeah, there were a little higher levels of numbers of fullbacks 20 years ago, but it's kind of been pretty
Yep.
steady. Some years they go up, some go down, but it's pretty much been where it's at for forever now. And you just football started
Yep.
with fullbacks. You know what I'm saying? Like that's I don't foresee it going anywhere. But this brand was just a way for me to kind of bring us all together and recognize each other for just the selfless position that we do play. And we don't get much recognition in what we do, but if you play on a team with a fullback, you know what value they bring. You know, just not only just from X's and O's perspective, but majority of the time they're leaders of the team, and they're tone setters, like period. And so it's just a way for me to kind of just bring everybody together and push the brand forward. You know, I want there to be fullbacks. I don't know necessarily if people, young kids, are going to be training to be a fullback when they grow up, but because that's not, just like my story, that's not all
No.
the time how it plays out. But I don't think we're going anywhere, and it's just exciting to see that people actually love the brand.
No,
So
brother. And it is one, it's neat to see again another avenue of how you continue to build, continue to adapt. And I always point people to the playoffs. I go, hey, who are the best two teams in football this year? I don't know, Baltimore Ravens and San Francisco 49ers, both predominantly fullback teams. So, hey, you've been
exactly.
wearing it proud for a decade. Keep representing, keep making us alive. So let's wrap up, man. I appreciate your time. I know you got family and kids and an off season to go enjoy. I got 3 questions before we get to say goodbye today. The first one is going to be the best, and you might have already started to reference it in one of your stories, but the best money you've ever spent. What was the best money you've ever spent?
Um, the best money that I've ever spent. I'm not even gonna talk
Good man.
investment wise. Like I'm gonna go with my first logical purchase as an NFL player was my bed.
Oh,
And and I didn't appreciate it as much until probably a couple years later, and just understanding like what it meant just to have a bed to sleep in, and how important it is to get your sleep and be well rested for what you're about to embark on the next day. And so I always tell people my bed was probably the
I
best
love
thing.
that. And one of our content creators and partners at Money Vehicle, her name's Bernadette Joy. She has a $1 rule. And people say, why would you spend $1,000 on a bed? Well, how many days are you going to sleep in it? And if you sleep in it 3 years, that's $1 a day. So I'm 100% with you. Like that's an amazing
Right.
investment and something that continues.
Yeah.
Now, this one I think I do know the answer to. What's the worst money you've ever spent?
Um, no, you'll probably actually be surprised. I say
Okay,
jewelry,
okay.
just because as I'm wearing this chain, this is probably the only real jewelry that I own. But it's because chains don't
No.
last. You know what I'm saying? Like chains, jewelry, whatever. Like I'm not gonna wear this in
Yeah.
10 years probably, and it's just it's not an appreciating asset. So, in most cases, but I don't think I'll spend money on jewelry the rest of my life, until I get to the point to where
You
it's affordable enough to
You
be
tipped.
spent
You
on.
tip into freedom. And I agree with you, man. I think jewelry at one point was supposed to send a message. That message is not what it's being sent anymore, and that's what we're trying to do is change financial literacy, change what being cool about handling your money means. And it is just such a difference in what that represents and what is it going to be in your future. um, Last question for you. We're talking to high school students. Guidance, advice, a tip. What is one thing you'd want to tell a room full of high school students?
Um, I'll probably say be vision oriented.
Love it.
Um, I think always look at your exit strategy, and whatever it is in life, investing, work, relationships. I'm not advocating to go into a relationship with an exit strategy. I'm just saying
Huh?
have a vision, have a vision for your relationship, and or your work, whatever work it is you're investing. Like I think it'll keep you on track in decision making wise, whether you should do this or not. Well, does it apply to your
Hmm.
vision? Like will it help you get towards your vision? And I think if you live life that way, you'll always be in intent, and just not going through the
Brother,
motions.
I that ties in. And one last connect to money vehicle. We always tell students to envision their lifestyle, what they want to have as a lifestyle, and then go find the career that can provide that. Because if you don't want the yacht lifestyle, don't go do the yacht career. If you want to see your life in one way, go find a career that can provide that. I think that vision mindset, if I was a graduating senior, that may be the most important thing that I need to start looking at as I go down my path. Could not appreciate your time anymore. Enjoy the rest of your off season. And last but not least, who you got winning the Super Bowl? Ooh,
Ooh,
ooh, too close, too close.
it's tough. No, that's tough. I like
Yeah,
Lamar.
he different.
I like Lamar, man.
He different.
I think he's gonna be hard to he's just hard to defend, man. Just plain and simple. And I'm pretty sure they beat the I think they beat the Niners to
Handedly,
sleep earlier this year.
handedly.
So
So we're gonna have a dual
I'm
Harbaugh
just
champions. Ah, that's crazy. But you right. But you right.
ah
Uh, hey,
right. Yeah, I don't know. I like the Ravens. Who do I want to win? I like to see the
yeah,
Lions win. I ain't gonna lie.
Detroit. Yeah,
I ain't
that'd
gonna
be
lie.
good. That'd be good.
Yeah, I think they deserve it, man. Just what they represent, and their style of game. Like you gotta respect it.
And as a former player, as a coach,
So
brother, keep making great fullbacks great again. Keep being you. Keep invested in yourself. And I appreciate you always.
I appreciate it, brother.
Thank you for investing in your greatest asset. If you want to keep learning how to drive your money vehicle, make sure to subscribe to the Money Vehicle Movement podcast. Until our next pit stop together, stop working for money and start making money work for you.